Patrick Valentine. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where I play my games. Even talk about wrestling. Even talk about anime. I can't get no satisfaction completing every game to 100%, even if it may seem very tough. Get to the end. I will push hard to reach the end, even if it may seem tough. Complete the game. It doesn't matter what I play. I will achieve victory. Yeah, you will see my gaming prowess. Take me to the end, It doesn't matter what I play. I will push my limits. You will see me reach to the very end. Yes, welcome to my channel. My gaming skills will take me to the end. Like and subscribe. Welcome to this AEW Dynamite review. I have now learned that AEW are not posting the full matches anymore on their YouTube. That's vilely disappointing. I was definitely wanting to watch the show for a particular match. Or, well, I at least wanted to review the show and give you guys my thoughts on it. So, I now have to read what happens on their website because they actually write down what happens on their website. That's lovely. So I don't know why they've stopped posting the full matches on their YouTube. Maybe to make it less spoilery. I don't know, but they're just not doing it anymore, which is a bit disappointing. So the show kicked off with Hangman Page and MJF going face to face. Excalibur noted that there would be a 6-figure fine and a suspension without pay if there was any physicality between the two of them. So MJF would refer Hangman as the main character, and he would call himself the main antagonist. So the two of them would go back and forth for a while, and Hangman even told MJF that if he wanted a shot at the AEW Championship, then he should just execute his Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal contract to guarantee him a title shot. And then after taking a step back to gather his thoughts, MJF began to attack the character of Page, noting that the fans believed that Hangman did nothing wrong, and MJF said that he might be the devil, but at least he's real. So Hangman then said that he'll own up to his mistakes for his past, not to run from them, like MJF. He once reminded MJF about the contract and continued to poke and prod before calling the former AEW champion a coward. And that was too much for MJF, who exclaimed by saying that, by basically saying, "Listen to me, you son of a bitch. At Forbidden Door, I execute my contract. And then I'll see you at Forbidden Door, dumbass." So I basically had to read off of what the two of them had to say to each other. I mean, I can't even just watch the segments anymore, which is a bit disappointing. But hey, this is probably going to be... So, this is definitely something that we're probably going to have to get used to if I'm going to have to review these shows. I'm probably just going to have to start reading off of their website, which again, I don't know why they're not posting the full matches anymore. Like, I wanted to see clips of the 6-women's tag, but all they showed was what happened afterwards, which was a bit disappointing. So Jon Moxley would have a match with Kevin Knight, and Jon Moxley would win, and this would also lead to Will Ospreay making his return. So Ospreay would then challenge Moxley to a lights-out steel cage match. I'm actually quite surprised that they're not by that. But Darby Allin was also trying to get a match with Jon Moxley as well. So Christian and Edge have a story, get their backstory because it's building up to their eventual reunion. Because Edge is going to have a one-on-one match with the manager of FTR, Stokely Hathaway, also known as Malcolm Bivens in WWE. I know I gotta be honest, this is actually really, really lame. Like, who in the world is gonna be okay with this? I mean, I don't care, it's Edge, but still, like, come on, man, like, that's kind of stupid. Like, that's really the best you could do for Edge, is just have him wrestle FTR's manager. Alex Windsor, Queen Aminata, and Willow Nightingale, they take on Mercedes Moné, Tekla, and Sky Blue. Yeah, Mercedes is finally having a match on Dynamite, and I have to say, these are the only matches that Mercedes kinda loses. Like, these are the only matches she loses. Like, well, outside of that one singles match that she lost to Toni Storm at All In, but if Mercedes ain't winning matches, she's usually in tag matches, and then she would lose and she would not get pinned. So this was a good match. So this was a good match. And in the end, the baby faces would win when Alex Windsor would put Sky Blue in the sharpshooter and make her tap out. I guess she's a big Natalya fan. So then Toni Storm would then challenge Athena and Mercedes to a tag team match. That next week on Dynamite, that Toni Storm and Alex Windsor will take on the TBS champion Mercedes Moné and the Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena next week. That is going to be a massive match, and I think that's going to be a big match for Alex Windsor. You know, she's the new signing that AEW has, and they're putting a lot of stock into her. So it would be nice. So I think, like, Mercedes and Athena, like, it's kind of funny how Mercedes and Athena were at one point feuding, and now they're besties. They were at one point feuding, you know, a couple of months ago, and now they're besties, which is kind of funny. But yeah, like, I wouldn't be against Alex Windsor kind of getting a win on either Athena or Mercedes, you know, to kind of give her like to give her a bit of a push, you know, to help get her a bit of a push and get her into the title scene. I think that would be pretty big. But also, Athena will also be challenging Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. So you could probably have Alex Windsor maybe win the Ring of Honor Women's title off Athena, and in that way Athena can probably, you know, win the AEW World title off Toni Storm. I don't know, but I think this match has a lot of potential. Like, it's a match that anyone can really win. I think this is a match that anyone can really win next week, and honestly, I'm looking forward to it. Will Ospreay would go on to explain his lights out steel cage challenge, and he would go on to explain the match by saying that he made a call, and he was pleased to announce that the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, I think that's how you say it, the president of New Japan, will be joining his team. Okay. And well, okay, to be fair, just from reading what it says here, that it doesn't really have him explain what the match is. It's just that apparently it's just him I'm guessing it's supposed to be like a blood and guts match or like a War Games match where you form a team or something. It was not really fully explained. So then Edge has his match with Stokey, and of course, it ends in a disqualification. Like, you've got the manager of FTR, and it ends in a DQ. That's really silly. So basically, the match gets thrown out. The match eventually gets thrown out because FTR come out, so Christian Cage then run out with a Spike to make the save. However, right behind him was the Ring of Honor television champion Nick Wayne with a chair and all that. So Christian and Edge have now reunited. They have now reunited, so Edge and Christian are now back together. You know, honestly, I know this was the story that they were going to tell, but this felt kind of rushed. Like, they kind of rushed this pretty quickly. Like, I'm not trying to say it should take 5-6 months for Christian and Edge to finally put their issues aside, but I think it could have been built up a little bit more. But to be fair, I don't really care. I'm sorry, like, I know, the people that'll be okay with Edge and Christian being back together are like old school fans who have grown up loving Edge and Christian, and I never really, like, sure, I've watched Edge and Christian during my days in the 2000s and all that, but I was never really, you know, that massive of a fan of the two of them. Like, I was never really that massive fan of the two of them. Like obviously I appreciate what they've done for the wrestling business and all that shit, but they weren't two guys I was really going out of my way to be, you know, massive fans of, like buying their shirts or anything along those lines. So Brody King, Tomohiro Ishii, not sure if that's how you say his name, Hologram, and Himiriu Tanahashi would defeat the Young Bucks, Kyle Fletcher, and Josh Alexander. So Tanahashi would get the victory by pinning Alexander. After the match, Tony Khan made it official at Forbidden Door that Tanahashi will challenge Fletcher for the TNT Championship, so that should be interesting. So Swerve and Strickland would address Okada. So there you have a little bit of a back and forth and all that stuff. I don't really know how I feel about this. Like, this is something I'm kind of, you know, a bit iffy on. Like, I've never been the biggest Swerve guy. Like, I've never really been the biggest Swerve guy myself. Like, even when he was in WWE, when he did the whole Hit Row thing. But, like, I'm not saying he's grown on me, you know, after watching him in AEW. It's still taking some time for me to really find something to like about the guy. I mean, sure, his theme's alright, and his little manager's dance is hilarious, but, you know, I'm not fully hooked yet. I'm not really fully hooked in Swerve yet. And Okada, like, obviously Okada is a great performer. Like, Okada is obviously a good wrestler because of his days in Japan and all that. Alicia Atout, aka the girlfriend of MJF, caught up with the Death Riders backstage to get Moxley's thoughts on Will Ospreay recruiting Haruo Tanahashi for their Lights Out Steel Cage match, and who would be joining Moxley's side. Moxley seems to be completely taken aback by the news and didn't comment any further. Mox went into the extra locker room to find the Young Bucks, but closed the door before anything was heard. So it sounds like he might be recruiting the Young Bucks. So 2 huge matches get announced for Forbidden Door. They add Christian Cage and Edge. Will put their issues behind them as they take on the Ring of Honor Television Champion Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian? Not like Chris Sabin, I think that's how you say it. Of the Marinarchy. They're not called the Patriarchy anymore, so they got a new name. And the teams have been set for the Lights Out cage match, as it's Moxley, Claudio, Gabe Kidd, and the Young Bucks taking on Ospreay, Darby Allin, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi. And Samoa Joe is back for the after what happened at All In, and his team kind of gets the win over the LFI. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about that. You know, the Ops win the main event, and MJF attacks Hangman in the parking lot. So I'm guessing MJF is going to cop that fine that he was told that they brought up at the start of the show, because if any of them get physical with each other, they'd cop a fine and suspension. So I'm guessing MJF is probably going to cop that fine and suspension. Sorry, things were a bit more slower and I didn't have a lot to really say, much to say, or I kind of paused in between things I was trying to say. It's pretty difficult, when you're trying to read what's happening now, because, you can't watch it anymore. Like if you go on their YouTube, like the clips are only like about 1.5 minutes and 2 minutes long now. So it's like, yeah, I can't even watch the whole segments now. I don't know why they stopped doing that. There must be a reason to why they're not showing the full clips anymore. But, yeah, so if I'm going to do these reviews, I'm going to have to do it this way. Which is a bit annoying, but hey, AEW is starting to become a part of my schedule now, so, I mean, I guess I'll only review the shows if there are if there are certain things I want to see, or if, certain persons on the show I want to see and all that. But hey, Dynamite was okay. Dynamite was pretty good from what I could see. So, other than that, thank you all for watching, guys. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.